going into this round of top 16? Is it going to be a Draven? I have a feeling it's at least one of the Irelia, and there she is. I had a funny feeling that's going to be legend number 1. Let's see, of course, who's going to be that legend number 2 for today.
Yeah, really curious to see who's she facing and what she can bring, because we saw. Oh, you called it best.
Guys, I work at production. I work at the production booth. They told me, which do you want to see? I said, Irelia Kaiser could be nice, and look at that, calling it picture perfect. That's kind of weird that happened, but we haven't really seen this matchup too often. On paper, there's a slight buff, or I should say, I guess a slight buff for Irelia because of the recent erratas, which we know this tournament is currently playing with, right? So Falling Star, not as impactful as it was in the past. A Cathian Rain, not as crucial as it was in the past. So does that favor slightly Irelia, or can anything go down in this matchup, Leroy?
No, it's just, no. I heard several people who know how to play saying this matchup is impossible for Kai'Sa. You've got all these deflects, and you've got all the all the not so fast and the defy and so on, and apparently it's just hell for Kai'Sa. So this player will have to play out of his mind if he wants to win this.
Okay.
And have a bit of, yeah.
It does make sense as you put it. The fervent, guys, I think I'm saying it right, fervent, because everyone was getting on me. It's not fervent. The fervent champion, such a potent card. It does have deflect, and that's what Kai'Sa, that's probably the biggest nemesis to the Kai'Sa strategy. So on top of that, is it just the fervent that has deflect, or is there anything else in Kai'Sa or in Irelia? It might just be all you need, right?
Yeah. Let's see. It's just not so fast, and just the icon is pretty exposed. So I think, yeah, I was like, I think he's going to mulligan it, and yeah, already done. This is the one unit that you cannot protect, and I think you're fine. Just
oh, and it's a sneaky deckhand Irelia. We've been seeing that variant find a lot of success recently in this Chinese regionals. Before then, I wasn't really considering a great option in sneaky deckhand for Irelia decks, but it does make a bit of sense because you start off early, you get the point conquer, and then more often than not, you also get the hold, and 2 points is all you need to try to inch that way closer to victory, of course. But there is a whole lot of removal, like a Hextech Ray, so maybe sneaky deckhand won't really stick around too much longer. But here we are finally in the top 16 round. Irelia going against the Kai'Sa. Is there gonna be a huge upset? As Leroy said, this matchup tends to favor Irelia, but perhaps this Kai'Sa is coming in prepared and tries to approach it differently than most Kai'Sas that we know.
yeah, and we saw that sneaky deckhand, because I think it was the fast pace of the meta and some aggro deck making it impossible to deal with. Now he had the next tech Ray in hand, I think, and it shows to not. Oh no, okay, he's playing on the draw, and I was messing up everything because there is the obelisk of power.
Yeah,
Okay,
he didn't
fine.
literally have any runes to play anything, as that was the opening turn. So perhaps Sneaky Deckhand feels great when you're the one running Obelisk of Power, as well as Draven's running a lot of Obelisk of Power as well. But we said a key piece to the game plan for Irelia will be the Fervent with that deflect.
Naked. He's playing naked Irelia. If there's a falling star, she's dead. And he's like, I dare ya. I double dare ya to use 3 of your runes just to kill her. And he's gonna say, oh yeah, you dare me? See what I do now.
Yeah, and see what he did. It looks like he still paid the cost, but it accomplished a good feat. I mean, taking down the Fervent as early as it comes down, was that a little bit too ambitious?
Did he pay the deflect?
Yeah, I saw him pay the deflect. He paid one for
Oh yeah,
Kaiser.
with the yeah. Okay, I forgot the case for a moment. My bad. Sorry, chat.
But unbelievable,
Um,
is that the throw of the century? Because Fervent is such an important card. As we mentioned, is one card that if it's able to stick around because of that pesky deflect cost, it gives a whole world of problems on this Kaiser. But I guess if there's another card that could try to bring things
yeah,
back in your favor, Draven Audacious could
but
be that
he's
card.
playing it naked again. This guy plays without fear.
No fear in the man's heart. He's like, you know what? If you take out my units, so be it. But I have to do what I have to do to try to progress my game state. But, that was one singularity. Falling Star here wouldn't be that bad. You only lose one of your Fury runes, and you do have to be a bit careful of a might increase, but a progress day just to simply draw 4 is saying, forget the Draven Audacious. I don't care about you going up to 3 points. I'm going to prepare my game plan for the next couple of turns because 4 cards can never go wrong picking that up the top.
Yeah, I mean, Falling Star would be 3 runes because Draven also has deflect.
No, no, no. There's
Um,
no way. Does he really?
yeah, I think he has deflect too. No,
Wait,
chat.
no. That's news to
Am
me.
I
Let me look
tripping?
it up. Oh, it does have deflex. So absolutely
Oh yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Wow, Draven Audacious even better than I originally thought. I just couldn't believe
And
you,
I
Leroy.
think
I was like, wait a second.
yeah,
Are you serious? It has that great of ability and deflect and 6 might. Audacious is a powerhouse of a card. But Guardian Angel, he said he's been playing these cards naked. This is a bit of a safety net for these cards.
yeah, and I think he's playing those cards. He was playing these cards naked because he was like, if I don't have this fast tempo, anyway, I'm gonna lose. So I have to make some risky plays. But I don't think so because the matchup is supposed to be good for Irelia. So yeah, I'm not sure I completely understand.
Yeah.
He's not going to not equip the GA.
Yeah, he had
Okay,
to.
okay,
But
yeah, I was scared.
the only thing I'm thinking, why didn't the Draven go into the sentry there? Or what am I? Oh, no. He just recalled the sentry. There was nothing
Yeah,
on the
he just revealed the
battlefield, of
sentry.
course. So
Yeah,
he had the option to go into the Obelisk or the Void Gate. Avoid the Void Gate in the world of Kaiser so you don't get an easier pick off. But so far, looking decently good for Kaiser. 3 points up to 2, and not too much battlefield presence on the side of Kaiser. Let's see if she could change that, though, because one singularity could make a world of difference. You do have to pay one of the deflect costs, though. Is there a not so fast in hand? I'm only seeing a Defy, a On Guard, or Fight or Flight, and I think a Stellacorn Herder. Oh no, a Charm it looks like.
yeah, but Draven is at 7 right now. No?
True.
Yeah, with the GA is at 7, so you would have to go with the singularity and then go with the sentry to trade, which would not even kill it. And I think there's a fight or flight, so you could just heal your Draven from the fight or flight,
Yeah,
which would
even though
require
on
then,
reaction speed, you're totally right.
which would then require a stupefy, which would be another rune that would be gone from the deflect. It's see, that's why, guys, this matchup is so sketchy for
I think
Asa.
so too, because even if they wanted to go a bit risky and play that Stupefy, there's a Defy waiting in the hand of Irelia, of course, so that game plan wouldn't have actually played out the way he anticipated it, but the Piercing Light does come out the top, so this Kaiser looks to have every single ounce of removal. The Piercing Lights, the Singularities, most likely the Falling Star, because what Kaiser doesn't run Falling Star? Every single one of them usually having all 3 in the deck. So he's thinking carefully. He's saying, why is deflect a key word? The Stupefy allowing the sentry to trade 1 for 1 if he chooses to do so, because there is an on guard on the side of Irelia.
Yeah, I mean, I think Aurelia was one of the reasons why Kaisa was not performing that well. And the fact that we saw less Aurelia this tournament, if I'm correct, uh, is why we have so many Kaisa in Top Cut. But now that they're facing this top Aurelia that know at least a little bit how to play their deck, because else they would not be there, they're starting to struggle a lot.
Yeah, they're starting to run up into their worst matchups per se. But let's see. It looks like Irelia did decide to invest with the on guard, so bringing up that the sneaky deckhand up to 3 currently. So as it stands, you need a little bit more. At the minimum, you will be getting a draw 1 for that push up and getting taken out. What does he draw? Okay, we knew the falling star was somewhere around the corner. It doesn't seem too fruitful to let it go right now because that is a 2 deflect cost, but the piercing light should at the minimum clean things up. And you still have to play the deflect cost unless you're going to be targeting your Yordle, because it strictly reads another unit, doesn't it?
Uh, no, because it's 1 unit on the battlefield and then 1 unit in base if you want, if I remember correctly.
No,
This
no,
being
I'm
said,
pretty sure it's just another unit, so you can be one on the battlefield and another one on the battlefield.
uh, not that I know. To me, it was like one on the battlefield and then one in base that's optional.
Oh, the other one is optional, so foregoing the selection onto Draven. That does make sense because it says deal 2 damage, or oh no, it doesn't say. It says deal 2 damage, deal 2 to the unit, then deal to the up to one other, or up to one other, so you can say 0.
Yeah,
Okay, I see what's
yeah.
going on. And of course,
So yeah, managed to kill the sneaky, which is good, but doesn't accomplish that much when you're 4-2 playing against Irelia, who's just going to conquer everything. And yeah,
looks like he asking how much runes he has available. He's like, okay, you do have enough runes for something big next turn. Something like a time warp. If it's a little too early to do so, at 2, 4, 6, 8 does go up to 10 runes the following turn. Trying to consider, do I want to retreat my Draven Audacious to keep it safe? Or is he truly never safe wherever he is on the battlefield? Do I want to perhaps do something like a ride the wind to try to just keep putting points on the board? A couple options. I think the bigger option he's considering, does he want to simply charm, or does he want to wait for something like the Kaiser Survivor, the better value target to bring in? And charm, I'm realizing how fantastic of a card it is when you have an Audacious, right? You force the combat, you not only take out a unit, but you get 2 points, or you get 1 point for the Audacious trigger.
yeah. And this open pass is yeah, it shows that he's still scared of the Kesa. And I just realized it doesn't want, because usually with Irelia you just fly from one battlefield to the other, but right now it doesn't want to do this because if he goes on the Void Gate, he's exposed to all these 6 damages spell that will go up to 7, and that can now kill it with the even with the GA.
Yeah, and he does indeed have that singularity, but that's going to be the second progress day. An impressive 8 cards drawn from 2 cards. Usually you never see a double main board progress day, but this is a greedy Kaiser, and sometimes it looks like we're in the meta. The more card draw, the better, especially when all the card draw is going to be removal, and Irelia doesn't have that many units to remove, so each and every one of those spells pays a little bit and goes that much further in this matchup. So has to consider, got the 4 cards. Now, what are you going to be doing with the book you have in hand? Because Leroy, how much cards does he have? It looks like half his deck, doesn't it?
He's got so many. Like, I would be fumbling everything and making some cards for, like, I can't handle that many cards in my hand.
I think it's like 12 cards in here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I couldn't even count. So more than 10 cards for sure.
Yeah. Now the question is, what is he fishing for? And I think the most likely answer is a Watcher. I don't know why he's not scoring though.
At least one, right?
'Cause
But perhaps really thinking about going on the even tempo game plan.
oh, no. It's of course he's not scoring because he doesn't want to give a
Draven,
free point
right?
to Draven.
That
Yeah,
makes
my
sense.
bad, my bad, chat.
No matter in
Um,
any deck, you just don't want to be exposed to any kind of Dravens, whether it be the Draven Legend or the Draven Champion. So having to play around them basically the exact same way we've seen before.
that's too open path. He doesn't care at all. It's like, I'm just going to sit there until the end, and you cannot do anything about it.
Did he get his point for the hold though? Because he passed it back over to Kaiser, but I didn't see the points go
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
Wasn't he
yeah.
already
It
at
was.
five?
Yeah, yeah. No, it was at 4. It was at 4.
Okay. Oh, the Rocket Barrage gonna be double targeting. Actually going for the GA. Does he want to go into something like a Rocket Barrage into Singularity? But the game plan stops right there right now. Defy coming down, sending that Rocket Barrage nowhere to be found. And now he had something in mind and has to pivot to another strategy. There's so many runes, Leroy. Look at what Irelia has. You know, that's striking a bit of fear in Kaiser's heart, I feel like.
Yeah, that's exactly the words you could use there.
Mm-hmm.
What is he going to do? Like develop some? Oh, it's a time warp. He's got time warp. Um, so he can have a big turn. But he needs to at least remove the GA first.
Yeah, that's what he was expecting. Look at him rubbing his eyes or rubbing his head. He's like, wait a second. I really needed that GA off because sending in some damage, paying the deflect cost, it could be worth it. But the simple fact that he's going to be sticking around after the fact and trying to conquer up to 2 points on the push, one for the conquer, one for the ability, it doesn't feel too good because that's going to be going up to 7. And GA, or not GA, but Audacious does allow him to get from 7 to 8, which is a single battlefield conquer. So this is a very tricky predicament, very similar to how we saw Victor in the previous round of top 32, had all the answers in hand, but just couldn't do too much when it really mattered on the board.
Yeah, but you can't go from 6 to 8 with Draven though, because the Draven procs before the 8th point. So
Right.
like you can do it only if you conquer the other battlefield that turn.
Right. But you can go from 7 to 8, I believe, with the
Definitely.
ability.
Yeah.
All right, he holds up to 6. If he's able to find himself on the other battlefield and then he does something like a charm, isn't that a auto win? Because you conquered a 7, you
Maybe.
scored both points, and then you gained a point from Audacious. I think he has the line. He could fight or flight or even use Aurelia's ability. Wait a second. He charms in, gets the point, and then finds his way with the Aurelia. Oh, the retreat, though. That is huge. The charm was actually going to be super crucial in that moment.
Yeah. I mean, it's still alive, but the position is, I mean, the situation is still terrible. Guys, you're watching now how bad this matchup is. The Irelia player did not have to do anything. He just sat there and watched everything crumble to the ground.
You know, and he went off to a bad start. The Fervent getting eliminated as soon as it came down, and the Draven Audacious somehow sticking around from being played out the following turn from that Fervent going down, of course. But man, he saw the win. He was so close to closing his game number 1 as early as the 15-minute mark, but instead having to pivot and trying to go on, develop the board a bit further. So Stellarcore and Herder are going to be hitting the board, allowing just 4 runes available. The boost of swiftness is nice, but he doesn't necessarily need the conquer at the moment. So just going to be paying it now as he doesn't really need any defensive. I feel like you can retreat your Draven here. What do you think about that?
You could, but like by putting the pressure of having the 2 battlefields conquered, it's like there's no way you can win. And you also have to deal with the pressure of my Draven. If you miss one thing and I win one combat, you're dead. So there are so many things that are putting insane pressure on Kaysar right now.
And that's that deck a nice pickup.
He's almost tapped out, but he's got a Sonya. It's so doomed. It's so doomed.
Yeah, the double hide might be the play. We're looking at the fight or flight on the Stellarcorn side just to get the additional draw, keep it safe in the base, and then the Zonya's Hourglass to keep everything safe on top of it. Yeah, it looks to be a really tough matchup for Kaiser. You know, he drew so much. He drew the majority of his deck, I want to say, at least 50% of his deck, it felt like, but somehow just doesn't have the outs necessary to close this game out. Still super behind. Even if he did, we're talking about 2 points. It gives a whole lot of breathing room for the Irelia to try to establish one more time and try to push up when it matters. But it looks like where it matters is right here, right now, as all she needs to do is hold with a single unit. And with 2 hidden cards, it's very likely that there's going to be at least the Audacious surviving with the GA. And as we said before, you are able to go up from 7 to 8. So he doesn't really care about keeping both. He just needs to keep the Draven.
Yeah, and I think he's dead inside right now.
Oh yeah. He was scratching his head. He was like, what did I get myself into? I had such a fantastic run in Swiss. I ran into no Irelias, and now in top 16, you're giving me the hardest time of the tournament. I am not loving it, but I'm not giving up so easily. Let's try to play patiently and try to find any potential out if he sees it, because you have a lot of cards to look through. I'm just not seeing it, Leroy. We'll see though.
Yeah, and I'm starting to think the Irelia who gets the metal card is the one that's dodging the most. The Kesia that's getting the metal card is the one that's dodging the most Irelias.
Mm-hmm. Most
How
likely,
long can
because
you
Irelia looks
escape
strong
them?
in this matchup, like we said.
Yeah.
And you know, we gotta respect it. They play pretty rapidly throughout this whole series, so you could slow down towards the end because this is it. This is the final turn of game number 1.
Yeah.
You either do anything to clear the board, or you quite literally lost. So you can't blame him for taking his time, as he played pretty fast the previous turn. So if there's any time to slow your pace of play, it will be right now. And oh, I did not expect this, Leroy, sending in the house Yordle, Yordle, Poro, Poro, and a Sentry. A lot of units, but not a lot of might. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 total mites on the swing.
Yeah, which is still more than Draven, and your opponent is tapped out. So it's just like, you know what? I'm not going to use any spell, and with this, he can. Yeah, the Zonia dies, but not the GA, which is such an issue because then you cannot kill the Draven with Falling Star. But you have Stupefy and Falling Star, but then how do you win the next combat and still remove the Stellacorn? I don't
Oh,
know.
this is different. A get excited in the Kaiser build. What did he discard? Because the camera angle doesn't even show us what he discarded to equal the same power level, but I would only imagine he discarded something like the Time Warp. Won't be too essential to the game plan right now, but discarding it, doing 10 damage could be exactly what he needed. So get excited. I wish we got to see the exact target for get excited, but my guess would
It
have to
was
be
the
Time Warp.
Stellacorn.
What
It
was
was the
it?
Stellac. Okay, okay. No, sorry. I thought you meant which unit. Um, I know. I don't know if it was the Time Warp.
Yeah, we
If
all
he
don't know
target
because of the camera right now. But
the
he's playing it on the
Stellacorn,
showdown before the Draven resolves. So get excited with Voidgate even doing one more. And I see what he's doing. He's trying to set up the Zonia's Hourglass to proc, and then the GA procs. And then he goes for something like a Singularity, take out both units. So this is what he was digging deep to find a line. And it looks like he found some kind of line that could lead him and clear a path towards a potential comeback here.
yeah, but the Get Excited works only on the battlefield, right? And this is why with the Fight or Flight, he avoids uh, the Get Excited, and so the Zonia is not going to proc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes it a whole lot tougher because now Draven Audacious, we saw what he was going for, but the fight or flight foiling everything he had in mind, and that's kind of been the name of the game. Kaiser has a certain plan in mind. He has a certain sequence of cards in mind, and the counter capabilities coming out from Irelia, turning it upside down and keeping him having to switch around what he had in mind, of course. So I see why Irelia definitely gives Kaiser a run for her money. but they still have to conclude the showdown. What is he thinking about? What does he want to
Yeah.
do? Because right now, Draven's going just back to base with no GA.
And maybe what you could have done is try to use an X-Tech Ray on the Stellacon to gun 4 damages, then go on the Draven battlefield, and then use the Get Excited. And when there's the fight or flight, you use the Stupefy and the Stellacon to kill the Zonia. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
You know,
uh,
someone's saying that he still hasn't even discarded for Get Excited. That would be extraordinarily slow play. There's no way he hasn't decided on the Get Excited. You don't have to
you have
discard
to.
until the target until it has resolved. So if he was waiting on a Defy, no, it just didn't resolve. Okay, there was no valid target with the fight or flight. Actually, he didn't even have to discard because the fight or flight goes on before there's the resolution, I want to say.
Yeah, and now you're doomed.
Yeah. You are doomed. Draven Audacious could come back in, swing for 7, and that is easy as that, 7 to 8. But of course, there's just so much cards in hand. Singularity into a falling star. Does that do it? You lose your whole room pool, but it might be exactly what you need. 2, 4, 6, and then falling star. I mean,
No, that's
no,
still.
that doesn't even do it, right? Because Draven's at 7, Stellacorn's at 5.
Yeah, no, no. What Singularity into Stupefy into
Piercing light or
Falling
something.
Star into Falling Star. How much is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You use all of your rune pools, but if you have those 3 cards, you can actually remove everything.
What were the 3 cards? Singularity, Falling Star, and which one else?
Stupefy.
Okay.
So you use Singularity and Stupefy to kill Draven and Stellacorn once, proc the GA, because that's 7 on Draven and 1 on the Stellacorn.
Mm-hmm.
And then you use Falling Star, and you pray that it doesn't have... Okay, so... Yeah, I mean, you can do it the other way around. That doesn't change much.
So it looks like he's targeting Draven as there's going to be an additional deflect cost being played. But okay, Falling Star splitting the difference. Interesting. So 3 damage on both. But when they die, they regain back to their initial might. So this is going to be interesting. I mean, then he goes Singularity. Both of them die, but GA saves the Audacious. So here goes a Singularity. And then you have to play one more deflect cause. So each of them go down. But as we expected, Draven's going to be sticking around. How are you doing the remaining? Is there a second Falling Star? Because that would do it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would. There's also the option of using... Yeah, no, because he would still be able to move with the Swifties. Because I was thinking if you use...
There it is, Leroy. We were wondering what is the potential out. It looks like you went from 11 runes down to 2 runes.
And my God. Do you still have something?
Oh, he buffed it. He buffed the Draven with the on guard.
Draven. Yeah, it's... Oh, this matchup is so doom.
Unbelievable. We thought there was an out for the Kaiser. She did so much work, but all that amounts to nothing as Irelia still ends up winning it. Well played. And this might be a bit of a speedier game as this one might be going 2-0.
Just Kesa winning everything if it wasn't for deflect. So
right.
You know, I'm thinking maybe not. Maybe it's on too many units, that I don't know, but I still think you need the deflect. And the paper tree for Irelia, it's...
I feel a little bit untraditional, but I can respect it because Irelia uses a whole lot of units with her Irelia Legend ability, and she kind of wants to have a lot of units to play like the Fervent and some equipments on top of that. So I can see where Paper Tree can be okay, but it kind of helps out both of these guys because you know Kaiser does have access to things like time warp. The earlier you get time warp online, the more kind of play potential you can do, especially if you're somewhere in the realm of like 4 to 5 points. You hold up to 7 and then kind of swing in on a watcher play the next turn. So this is gonna be cool. Let's see if Kaiser could really be the underdog story and turn things around. And isn't that funny to say, Leroy? The underdog being Kaiser, the queen of set one.
Yeah, I mean, she was not underdog last week, but in this matchup, she is definitely. We saw it once, and we'll maybe see it twice.
Yeah, we'll see if the
This
same
being
thing
said,
that happened in game one might just come to play in this game too, though. But so far, so good. Getting the Poro Gold from the very start. We said resource. This is a very resource intensive game. So gold will be a way of minimizing those deflect costs. You can't pay the deflect costs from the Kaiser Legend. You can pay the deflect costs with your gold. So the Pondering Poro is feeling like a fantastic card to start things off for Kaiser. This is optimal turns, I want to say.
yeah, and this time Irelia did not have any sneaky to uh, make it to have some pressure already really early, which changes a lot of things. And right now, uh, the amount of tempo gained by Kesa is already really good. And if Irelia comes out, you will not have to pay that much thanks to your gold, and you will be in a much better spot. And see how the things have changed. Kesa was desperate last time, and now Irelia is saying, I don't have the cards I want. I want to play Irelia, but it's gonna get falling star or
Oh, yeah.
whatever instantly.
The mannerisms has definitely changed a little bit, but is a teeny bit too early to call as that was just his second turn. However, though, we saw the singularity slash falling star come out to take down the fervent as early as it came down. Is he gonna be doing it one more time? Because he has the 2 blue off the top of the rune deck. He has enough for singularity. And did he have it in hand? I think at the minimum he did
Has
have
falling
falling
star.
star.
Yeah, which would cost more and which would not be on curve. So maybe he's just going to. I think he's thinking about Progress Day and not Falling Star. But, do you want to give this Irelia the chance to get a GA, get equipment, and so on?
I think
Yeah,
he
no,
plays it
exactly.
naked because he values the deduction of all those runes. Because that's gonna be 2 for the falling star, 1 gold, and then another one for the Kaiser ability. Wait. Yeah, that's correct. So effectively setting him back an entire turn, but luckily he has enough runes to set up that chosen champion, so it doesn't feel terrible because he is going to be able to get back another gold. And then the paper tree, interesting enough, doesn't look to be the likely conquered target. Does he want to keep Irelia off 7? Because wait a second, 5, 6, and then 7, 8. Because is paper tree on the hold or conquer? Actually, I think it's actually on the hold.
No, it's hold. It's hold.
Yeah,
No,
it is
the
on the
only
hold.
question is right now is scared of Draven into Angard, which is why he was considering like not playing it. I think because Irelia will be on 7 runes and that's just enough for that. Um, but if it does this, then he's completely exposed. So he cannot play Draven and Guard, which is why he maybe considered that. And then he was like, if he does this, I kill this Draven and I win the game. So yeah, I need to get that paper tree right now. And since Irelia is already on many runes and he had to use some, then he's just really happy with this paper tree effect right now.
Yeah, he does feel good about that. You know, this seems like so much deja vu going on. The Fervent gets played naked on that opening turn, or the second turn gets taken down. The Audacious gets played rather exposed as well. But if I remember right, in game one, there was already a Guardian Angel established on board. He didn't attach it, but it was still on board nonetheless. We did see a card come into play in that game number 1, something like an On Guard to bring that Draven Audacious up to 8 might, getting out of the range of something like a Falling Star. Does he do something like that again? But a Progress Day is allowing Audacious to stick around. Most likely going to be retreating his units because you don't want to give him the double value. but at
Oh,
least
and the thermal
Aurelia's
beam
feeling
that you
okay.
talked about.
What was that?
I saw the thermal beam that you talked about.
Okay.
So now it has option against GAs, Zonias, and so on. Um, is he considering uh, getting that battlefield? Uh,
There is a
it's a tough
Reaver's Row,
call.
but Draven's going to be working the same way the Draven ability works. But you know what? He does have retreats. But funny enough, as I say that, he's completely tapped out. So retreats, not necessarily going to be doing anything, but does think about the draw. If we know anything about this Kaiser, they love to draw, draw, draw from the top of the deck. So Kaiser Survival going to be allowing him to do one more time. So a total of 5 cards drawn that turn, and does get a point. And speaking of 5, it is going to be 5 points to 0. Aurelia running out of
Yeah,
time, but has some good cards to try to close the distance, because we've seen it before. Our Audacious can go from 0 to 2, from 2 to 4, from 4 to 6, so on and so forth. It is a one-man army sometimes.
yeah. And so, of course, he's going to score 2 points. But just like you said, you are 5 points ahead. So you can accept that if you get one more point through the Kaisa and a conquer and a draw. And you're going to save your Kaisa anyway. So yeah, you're quite in a good position right now.
Yeah, I think you're feeling pretty good as a Kaiser player. Let's see what they play out on top of the Stellar Corn Herder. You have 2 not so fastest just in case. And whoa, 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 what's going on there? This is why you have different colors of the main deck and the rune deck, because you know all those kind of plays would have came down in Riftbound. But hiding a card most likely going to be a fight or flight. As I say that, it doesn't make too much sense because it's Reaver's Row. So is that going to be something like a Zonia's Hourglass perhaps in Reaver's Row?
Yeah, most likely. I don't see much other option except to play around to get excited.
Yeah, that could be very well it, because we
Good
saw
idea.
Gate inside in game 1, and looks to be a really similar story so far, where Kaiser has so much abundance of cards in hand, has so much available things to do. But you have to figure out the line, because sometimes when you have so much cards, it can be overwhelming for any player. Of course, the highest level players, it's kind of what separate. They're kind of able to compartmentalize in their head and be like, okay, this is what I need to do on this regard, and this is what I need to do here. Let's see what's the first step for Kaza. So first things first is going to be the conquer on the paper tree, just to try to get a goal before trying to commit to anything further.
Yeah. And he has that thermal beam again. If any GA, any Zonias arrive. Uh, I don't remember if thermal beam has action speed, but that could change a lot in this game.
Yeah, it could very well see. I mean, right now we haven't seen any units, but you know when they come down, that thermo beam is waiting. He's hoping to see those GAs. He's hoping to see those boots. And it looks like Kaiser at that crucial 6 point, feeling happy about that, because we saw the Watcher in hand. If he just uses the remaining of the runes to put out a couple more units and sets up for the Watcher ending play, I think that's going to be all she wrote. Imagine a world you can retreat the watch. No, no, it doesn't make sense. You can't play 14 total. I was
No,
gonna say
but
double watcher.
most likely going to retreat this Poro right now to avoid giving him another point for free, since you have two retreats anyway. This is my thought. Now let's see if he does this, because you don't have any other play right now. So the retreat on the Poro to not give another point to Draven seems pretty good.
It does.
Let's see.
On top of that, you're going to be able to channel a rune exhausted for the follow-up turn. As we said, that's going to be the turn you try to close things out and bring us into that game number 3. He passes though,
Oh, okay.
Leroy. He leaves the Poro on the board. What is the reasoning for that? Because he's most likely going to retreat anyways, unless he really doesn't. He doesn't mind Irelia going up to potentially 6 points in this game.
Oh, I know he doesn't care because he can react off Irelia's effect anyway. Can react off
Ah.
anything actually.
And he can react
So
to the activation of Boots of Swiftness
yeah,
as well, right?
he can react. Yeah, he can react to so many things, and so he does not. He can wait until the last moment to see if he actually needs to recall the poro or not.
Right,
Because if
right.
he doesn't have to, that makes things much easier for him.
Yeah, I see exactly what you're saying. It's a little bit of a bait saying, look at what I have on this battlefield. Do you want to try to game plan to make your way over to this? But
And there
on
it
the
is. Yeah.
activation of the swiftness, the retreat coming down, is it going to be facing something like a Defy? Because that is the only thing that will be online, because the Not So Fast is only for your friendly spells or units, as we all know. So, kind of giving them something to think about. And, I
Yeah.
seen the question in chat real quick. That is the Lunar New Year Irelia Legend. It's going to be online, available February 17th in the Riot merch store. Of course, it doesn't ship till late May, so keep that in mind. But it's normally a Chinese exclusive for their New Year's out in China. So if you guys never seen that, just type in Lunar New Year. You can find them on eBay for $70, but the gift box itself is just going to be sold for, I think, $39.99 or even a little bit over that. So you can wait and get it cheaper, or if you want to pick up now, I've seen people buy it on eBay.
Yeah, and Irelia right now, thinking I'm gonna lose this unlosable matchup. Um, wait, Kaisa is at 3, 4, 5, 7, 10, which is she will be at 12 next turn, and 12 is the exact number to play an accelerated Watcher into Thermo Beam, which would literally make things really tough for for Irelia, honestly.
Does he necessarily even need the thermal beam? What if he just tries to conquer one battlefield and then time warp? Wouldn't that be enough? Because all you need to do is get up to
Oh
7.
yeah.
Time warp is going to be doing the rest of it. But the
Does he have
GA,
does he have time warp? Does he have time warp?
I don't know. If he did,
Yeah,
it would be
okay.
a fantastic play, of course. But he does have the GA, so I'm kind of loving your play a bit more if he doesn't have a time warp. So this is it, chat. Do we get to see the Kaiser push that we all so used to seeing from before? The Watcher most likely could be coming down. Watcher Thermo Beam, as Leroy alluded to, or will it be as straightforward and
Oh, the Breeder!
oh,
The Breeder! You use wait.
Brynir
You
into
use
Watcher
Breeder
should
right
do it.
now. Um
That's 5 and
yeah,
7.
because you can totally. No, Brinier is at 6, right? Brinier costs 6.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
is at
5 might,
6.
but
It
I'm
is at
pretty
6.
sure it's
Wait,
6.
wait. It's
Yeah.
5 might 6 energy. You're totally right. So you
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
bring your
yeah.
Watcher, but he
Yeah,
does
but you
play
can
the
do
Brynir
you can
regardless.
Brinier into Thermo Beam though.
You definitely can.
And now it's just like I'm gonna see you, and if it doesn't, it's like you have to use all of your cards right now, and I'm just going to see you waste all of your resources, and you're not at 6, so I can wait one more turn. I don't care. Now use everything. Go ahead. I dare ya.
Yeah, I double dare you, like you always say, and it looks like he does have action, a reaction ability. So fight or flight, just to keep the Stellacorn safe, I guess, even before Reaver's Row, just to get the
No, that's
draw
to
one
draw. Yeah,
before
that's to
Brynir
use the draw to
resolves.
see if he can react something. And did he pick Defendants? Because that's the card you're kind of looking for, but
I think he
that's the
might
card
have
you also want
3.
to keep it. Yeah, I
No,
think it
2,
drew the
2.
third one. Oh no, it drew, so it drew Swifties. He didn't have 2 Swifties, right? I don't know, but he's such in a bad position right now.
Yeah,
He has to
Kaiser
use
inches
everything.
away from closing things out. He's trying to do the math here, saying, what is the Defiant Dance target? Because I have 2 Defiant Dances. Those are my only reaction speed cards. So there goes Defiant Dance number 1. Who's going to be the target? Looks like Kaiser would be minusing 2, and Draven going to be up 2. So now defending for a total of 8, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11 total might. Make that 13 total might with the secondary Defiant Dance coming down. Is 13 enough, Leroy? Because there's not a lot of backline might.
Oh, it is enough, but you're still happy that your opponent had to use 2 Defendants for almost nothing, because now you just have to not go into it. And since you're not pressured by the points, Yeah, Brinier was here to waste all of Irelia resources.
You know, and I said 13, but we're completely forgetting about the big bad wolf in hand, the thermal beam coming down. That's going to be minusing 3, so 10 total might is all Draven's going to be defending. Kaiser goes for 2, Noxus Hopefuls goes up to 4, Poro 6, the Sentries goes up to 8. Oh, he's a little bit shy. Thermal beam is 2, 4, 5. A stupefy brings it down to 9. Not
Does
even
he
with
have?
a
Does he have like?
stupefy.
No. Wait. X-Tech Ray. If he has X-Tech Ray, he wins.
Yeah, that's the only out. You're totally right because that's 3 damage. Yeah, that's exactly what he needs. And then Sentry, he just sends in everything except a single Sentry, and that should be enough to close
No,
things
because he can
out.
conquer both. He can conquer both battlefields. Then can he? Wait. It's 2, 4, 6. Oh, they get excited.
Yeah, you know, he doesn't need a clear. He takes down the Watcher doing 7 damage, way better than a Hextech Ray, but now
I
he's out of
forgot.
the realm of Thermal Beam, but he just needs to conquer both battlefields in this very moment, so all it is math, and this guy has made it to the top 16 for a
Let's
reason.
go.
GG, Kaiser fighting her worst matchup in a very productive way, well done, and it looks like we will be getting that decisive game 3. I am excited because that was well played. Cyborg looking to do a little bit of work.
Exactly 10 might on Kesai's side. So if you use 1 to go to the reverse road and you don't have 10 might to kill the Draven, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure.
That's
We
what I
would
was
need
thinking
to
because I thought
rewatch
we
that
talked
play.
about the thermal beam play, and I believe it left us with just a single unit. But of course, guys, rewind the VOD. You guys are at home. We're over here live. I'll have to rewind after the stream, of course. But if you guys really want to figure it out, just rewind a little bit and see if the math was there. I'll be able to see after the stream. But this isn't too bad for Irelia. We see her with the hands, or we seen her with the capabilities of having something like a sneaky deckhand, and we did see an Obelisk of Power. Kaiser most likely off the win, of course, going to be having to force to go second, unless Irelia. Actually, no, this is perfect because you do start with 3. If you draw into a
Yeah,
sneaky deckhand, you're feeling really good about this game.
yeah. This being said, right now he did not have the sneaky deckhand, which is probably why he had mulligan, given the stacked hand. But Kaisa picking up like a book a page from Draven's book with the Obelisk of Power into Kaisa turn 1. I know that he was sometimes played last set, but clearly not as much as uh, what we see this set. And you're still happy playing the Swifties turn 1, but I feel like the Sneaky Deckhand is better because we saw that Irelia was the fact that she was so far behind in terms of point last game made it really hard for her to catch back.
Mm-hmm. It was
Now
rather difficult. If anything repeats itself, it will be the Fervent. But what do I know? The stack deck coming out instead. It looks like it's gonna be a stack deck into a Stella Horn, Stella Corn Herder.
You got it.
Words
You
are
got it.
crazy around this time, but you do have exactly 4 runes available. It's a little bit ambitious if you wanted to waste a whole lot of resources to attach, and then Aurelia ability to push forward for the draw, and then just to die at the hands of survivors. So I just think she's gonna play out the Stelicorn, but it's just such an obvious falling stars. It feels like, dude, just risk it anyways. It looks like the answer is yes and just passes over. This could be a world where Kaiser just easily removes it. I say that, but you do invest a falling star for just a single unit,
Yeah,
so perhaps
I
not the
don't think
best.
you ever play that, and you will just wait for Stellacon to get on a battlefield and uh, just shoot it from there
Yeah,
with
just the ray, right?
whatever you get. This like putting the Swifties gets her out of stuff like Exec Ray or Void Seeker,
Going
but
for the
oh,
play we mentioned before. He
okay,
values the
okay.
tempo. He's saying if you don't have any units on the board, I most likely will be able to hold. And oh, I like this play, Leroy, because the way it works, it now triggers Dreaming Tree. So you get the +1
Ooh.
for Kaiser as well. This is very good. I like the way he's playing so far.
Whoa, that was so well played. Um, guys, how many of you would have thought of this? I wouldn't. I wouldn't have thought of this. I will remember this if one day I play Kesa. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
let's be honest.
Yeah, good lesson to take home, of course. No one most likely would have seen that, but taking full advantage of the Dreaming Tree that Irelia brought, but the Fervent hitting the board has access to the Boots of Swiftness, the Irelia Legend ability. That's going to be 2 power going back to the bottom of the rune deck, but you have to do what you have to do because now she's going to be going online, and a retreat on the activation might just be what the Kaiser has up her sleeve. You get another +1 draw, you get a channel rune, and actually goes ahead and says go for it. And Draven, it doesn't work the same way as Draven, so able to get the retreat nonetheless. You get the +1 draw and you keep your unit safe down the road. That's not too bad. You know, this Kaiser has been playing so well that they prioritize keeping their hand size healthy, and has been the name of the game. She's able to find all the answers she needs by the end of the turn, or the end of the game, I should say, when they need it most.
Yeah, and she's also uh, having a good amount of runes being ready. We saw the time warp, so she might speed run that time warp right now. And see if it's a Zonia, the Thermobim that she could have already looking quite good. Maybe you wait for like the potential GA to come online, but yeah, Irelia, Kesa, not in a bad spot right now.
Yeah. I will add though, this is the longest the Fervent champion has stuck around in all this best of 3 matchup, right?
Yeah,
So if there's a world where Aurelia feels good about this, it's because your chosen champion isn't in the trash as it stands. So let's see if Kaiser could kind of change that around. But because you have the swiftness, because you have a hidden card, could be something like a fight or flight on your own unit, get the +1 draw, keep your Aurelia safe. I say safe, but you know, there is a lot of backline interaction, but it looks like tapping out, or tapping out of
gonna
the range of singularity. So I don't think she's going to be dealing with the Fervent just yet. And that's what Aurelia wants to see. She wants to be able to hold on to that champion unit for as long as possible, because she just somehow always finds her way to the other side of the battlefield. Of course, the Boots of Swiftness enables that so easily. So I think this Fervent is going to be a key card to the victory path for Aurelia.
Yeah, and a draw and another draw and so many draw cards in Kesa's decks. Look at that. Already draw one from the battlefield, two from the Dreaming Tree, two from the Dreaming Tree, one that she's gonna draw from the Sentry, and then one from the Yordle. It's like every single card from Kesa helps her draw. It's crazy.
It is right. Value after value is what the game plan is for Kaiser. I'm thoroughly impressed, but Aurelia still seems like she's in a great position given the fact that the boost of swiftness making the double conquer so easily. One for the hold, one for the push. And Sentry, even if you have a Hex Tech Ray, it doesn't feel good. You have to pay the deflect. On top of that, you wouldn't even get in the realm of getting it down. Do you go and just retreat to get more channeled runes or get
No,
more runes?
you no, you don't retreat that Sentry. You also want to keep that retreat in case there's a charm for your Kesa or something like so.
Okay. And he
And
does
it's not
go up to
like
3.
it was Draven, you know. Yeah, and now that there are two gears, Thermobim starting to look not too bad.
There it is. We were wondering when it was coming down, saving it for that pivotal game number 3. And, you know, he hadn't seen it all game because it didn't even play out at all. He had it in hand. It wasn't new to us, but completely new to Aurelia. Perhaps wasn't playing around it. Even if you could play around it, there's not very much you can do. Not so fast as we mentioned before. Doesn't target it. It is out of Defy's reach as well. So Thermobane getting rid of the hourglass, getting rid of the swiftness, making it just that much harder for Fervent to find her way onto the other side of the battlefield. More importantly, though, is there a window of opportunity to take down the Fervent right here, right now, with something like at the top of the hand? Are we investing something like a falling star? And is that going to be eating a counter? It almost feels like.
Yeah, I think I've seen some not so fast into Aurelia's hand. Oh, that's Ride the Wind, right?
You
Yeah.
said it, Leroy. Ride the Wind looking like a great selection, but that is going to be tapping her out. So any spells that Kaiser plays, so one for the
No, she
Chosen.
still has 2 runes. She still has 2 runes up, right?
They oh yeah, they had way more than just three. Okay, yeah. They paid the
Yeah, it's
two,
free, free.
recycle one.
Yeah. Still have 3 runes up, which is enough to defy at this get excited and then another card. Um, yeah. The only good aspect for Kesa is that it was not used while on Dreaming Tree, so that you don't get an extra draw from it.
Right. So now let's see. Kaza's not going to be swinging in for enough as that Ride the Wind readies and chooses. So +2. But the Hex Tech Ray trying to bring her into that mighty, or not the mighty, but bring her into the
Oh,
realm of where Kaiser can kind of deal with her with the remaining damage from the might. Is that going to be paying off? Or is it really gonna might increase it like a on guard that we're seeing here? So back up 3 it goes. The Hextech Ray virtually did nothing there.
yeah, but you still have that get excited, and weirdly enough, maybe you're happy to use some resources from Irelia's hand, and even if you're paying some deflect cost.
Yeah, perhaps trying to bait out something like a Defy or not so fast earlier on before the bigger get excited play. The question is, what does he have in hand to pitch from the get excited? Does he have something big like a
Oh,
launcher?
he's dead. No, no, he's dead. Okay, he has the time warp. I think we saw the time warp. I'm not sure.
You know, he still had to pay the deflect cost for the Hextech Ray as well, so a bit expensive. But looking at Aurelia's hand, not the best. We're seeing a Siren, a Guardian Angel, On Guard, and a Charm. I mean, I say not the best, but those are pretty good cards in a world where Fairvent survives, because it looks like that's the world Aurelia's going to be living in. But as I say that, the get excited coming down. What is he going to be pitching? You said there was a time warp, right? That might just be the likely target.
Yeah, I think I saw time warp, which I mean you would like to keep, but you gotta do what you gotta do, um, and you need to be sure to remove Irelia. This being said, the good thing with Get Excited is that you can select the card after that on guard, so you know exactly how much you need to pay. And yeah, the time warp is going to go in the trash. Still killing that Irelia, still being worse, especially when we know Irelia's hand and he's got nothing right now.
Yeah, you said it best. She has absolutely nothing. What if the top deck is going to be another spell? She has great spells, but just ran out of units without anything like a Draven Audacious. What is she possibly going to do? This Yordle could slowly but surely run away with this game. Let's see what's off the top, Leroy. It's going to be a GA. Nothing but gear, nothing but spells. Is he just conceding? Oh no, he plays it out. I thought he was showing his hand. I was like, I thought he was gonna concede and be like, "This is my hand. I can't do anything." But he actually played everything out.
Yeah, I was on the same thing as you. I was like, what was happening? What
Yeah,
is
for a
happening?
second there, I'm like, wait a second. He's just showing an assigned concession, but
Oh, and the
great pickup for
beer.
Kaiser. We're seeing the Thunder Song as you mentioned.
Yeah, and you can maybe like we see this Kai'Sa player being really careful with the way they play and not never overcommitting. But maybe right now would be a good time to actually accelerate that Kai'Sa. The only one time I see, and I remember that Kai'Sa that we saw yesterday, and I was like, she never accelerated her Kai'Sa from the World Tournament. But now maybe it's a good spot.
Yeah, I agree there. It could be a good spot to kind of overextend, because in a world they pick up another gear, another spell that doesn't draw. This is looking good. You go up to 5, and he's looking like he's taking our advice, going for the accelerated Kaiser coming down, not only going up to 5, drawing a card at that, and that's gonna be a progress day as well. Not gonna be able to play out to the following turn, but this 5 could very quickly turn to 7, and then Irelia forced to get 2 conquers. If not, that's a 7 to 8 hold. Kaiser, weirdly enough, has found herself in a very advantageous position, so much so that they can close it out in the next 2 turns.
Yeah, and not only this, but if there's no unit picked up,
Oh,
yeah,
it's
it's
a
a charm.
charm, Leroy. That
It's
is gonna be
over.
the concession if I ever seen it. 3 to 7. That is not a situation you love as Aurelia. This is the tale, the dilemma I like to call the Aurelia dilemma. She doesn't have so much units in the deck. And sometimes, if you're able to clear out the only remaining units, the Audacious, the Stellacorn, the Fervents, they just end up top decking nothing but gear, nothing but spell, allowing your opponent to just
Now,
climb
now
back.
you're the spot is so good. You retreat all of your units. You cannot lose anything to a potential Draven. You just use the progress that you have so many cards in hand. It's the doomest game ever.
Yeah, this is Doom off the top. It's another spell. Aurelia sees the writing on the
Oh,
walls, and Kaiser is
look at
ecstatic
them.
about that win. We said on paper this was virtually the worst matchup for her, and look at what we're saying now. Kaiser's going to be progressing herself into top 8 in today's Nanjing Regional Open. Well played. No one here would have expected that. I definitely didn't.